I've been trying to do them like a maximum of an hour. You know, like the idea is to get it under an hour, but sometimes it goes, you know, over an hour. But I'm just trying to keep them under an hour. Just because I think like it's a bit more daunting, you know, when something's like well over an hour. Things like that. Anyway. Hello, welcome to Paisley Presents. My name is Paisley and today I'm joined by Hana. See if I can get the name right. Vraniqi.
Vraniqi, yeah.
Vraniqi. And now, what's the origin of that name?
So it's an Albanian last name.
Albanian?
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
it's
okay.
unique as well, because there's only one tribe.
Yeah.
That's it, that's us. There's no other Vraniqis out there.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so far I'm the only one with that name, Hana Vraniqi. There's no other.
That's amazing. And maybe other, like how many other Vraniqis are in the world?
There's like US, UK, and I think there's still some in former Yugoslavia.
Yeah, right.
There's some of us left still over there, but spread out. Like actually even Scandinavian countries, there's a few of us there. Because there was two brothers from the Vraniqi family married two sisters from another family.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of cousins and family everywhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So where are you from specifically, originally? Because I know you've lived other places.
Yeah, so I say former Yugoslavia because basically I was born during that time and my mother is from Croatia.
Wow, okay.
She studied in Belgrade in Serbia. That's where she met my father, who was at a party.
That's really cute.
At their friend's place, and he was visiting actually. He was on his break from the studies at uni at Sorbonne in Paris, in France. So that's where they met. But my dad is from Prizren, is a city in Kosovo.
Wow, okay.
And then he got a job in Pristina, which is the capital city of Kosovo.
Yeah, right.
And
but this would have been before Kosovo had independence.
Yeah. This is like 70 something.
Yeah,
1970,
wow.
whatever.
That's amazing.
When my parents were my age.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, they were younger.
Shoot,
I'm old.
What did they do? What were you?
So Dad was studying acting and directing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And once he graduated, he was hired as a director for the TV Pristina in Kosovo.
Wow.
Radio. What was the slogan? I don't remember now.
Yeah,
but Mom, she studied history of art. So she's an art historian. And
so very arty kind of background.
Yeah.
You have you had a very artistic upbringing and
pretty
cultural upbringing. Yeah.
So much so that when we had money, we used it. When we didn't, we were like, what now?
Very like bohemian sort of. Yeah. You either had $1,000 bottle of wine or no wine at all, that kind of thing.
Yes, which I wish was kind of like they could. Why couldn't you have taught me how to live my life more,
more modestly.
Not set such high standards and have no money. Because sometimes I find people that I know who have that sort of background where their parents are kind of, savvy with money or just logical thinkers. I'm not saying my mom is definitely the one that,
What weighs the pants or the? Yeah.
She's the logical one.
She's the logical one, right?
More logical.
And he's more sort of.
My dad is kind of like, yes. I love them both. Like, I just, I don't know where I would be without my parents, but it's something sort of to say, hey guys, you could have taught me like to lower my standards so my life would be so much easier being an artist.
Yeah, of course.
You're already struggling and then having really high standards.
Yeah.
And because I was growing up in Europe, also everything is really close. So there was, for us,
the opposite of Australia. To use an example.
For us it was unheard of to not have a summer holiday, as in go to a seaside and stay at a hotel, like a 5-star hotel. So
to not do that was ridiculous.
It was kind of like, what's the point of having a holiday if you don't stay at a hotel and have your own bathroom and
Yeah.
have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner served to you.
Yeah, right. So you didn't go camping or anything
Never.
like that? Yeah. Yeah, right. Have you been camping since?
Once in New Zealand.
Yeah, right. That's cool. Did you
Never
enjoy it?
again.
Yeah, all right. Not enough luxury.
I was more tired.
Yeah.
After than before I went camping.
Yeah.
It
wasn't relaxing.
I was just like, what is this? I was excited because I'd never done it before, right?
Of
I get to
course,
sleep in a tent, you know, something
Yeah,
you
yeah.
dream about as a kid. You build tents in the living room, right?
Yeah.
And so I ended up.
Something you dream about as a kid. It's the other way around. I think for a lot of people it's the other way around. Like they have their first camping experience when they're a kid and they grow up and they don't go camping. But you're like a child in this like great hall with like sculptured paintings everywhere.
Like,
Just like, oh, one day I wish I could camp in the forest with all the little people.
I was like Eloise at the plaza.
Yeah.
But.
Where did you go camping? Like where in New Zealand?
Oh my goodness. What was the name? It was years ago. I don't remember the name of that beach.
Was it like isolated though? Was it?
It was around Piha. Beautiful. I'm pretty sure it was around there because it's stunning, right? A lot of surfers go there, but we actually went onto the campsite. So I think it must have been someone's farm or something like that, land.
Yeah, wow.
And so they opened it up as camping.
Yeah, cool.
So it was like, when am I going home?
How long did you go camping for? Like, what was the duration?
Oh my gosh.
Too long.
It was not that long, like 3 days, 4 days maximum.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was 3 days.
Yeah.
But those were the 3 longest days of my life.
It's interesting because I think a lot of people view me as being quite like luxurious and quite like, you know, appreciate things like that, and yet I'm so
things and
and that's true, but like I'm so outdoorsy as well. Like I used to do like with my parents and things, and my sister. I grew up hiking and rock climbing and abseiling and things like that, but also loved you know, camping all the time, and like I've lived all over Australia and travelled all over Australia. I haven't been overseas yet, but you know, I was very much brought up with that sense of the outdoors and the environment. And
but that's the thing, that's the culture. Like, and it is important over there, but it's just like being urban, like like there's really, even if you dreamt of those, like there's no the chances of you doing it are pretty slim.
Right.
Like you really have to sign up for scouts and really go out of your way to do that stuff. Whereas here it's the culture in New Zealand as well. Like if I grew up in New Zealand or here, I'm 100% sure, like 110% sure it would be part of my life. But because, you know, I grew up, my whole family, on both my dad and mom's side, everyone lived in the cities.
Yeah.
So as a child, like, would go to school and be like, oh, what did you do? Oh, yeah, I went to countryside to see my family. And like, when will I go to countryside? So I did actually get a chance to go to countryside when I was in New Zealand. I was doing my acting course, and Shelley, a friend of mine, she actually comes from a farm in Whangarei, which is north of Auckland.
Oh, okay, cool.
And they have goats and things, and I was like, please take me with you. She's like, okay. She was kind of weirded out, but then I explained that I need this.
So when did you you grew up when you were really young? Where specifically?
So just before I started elementary school, I was pretty much growing up where my grandparents lived in Croatia, near Osijek.
Okay, so that's where you were born?
Yes, I was born in Virovitica, which is close to Osijek.
Yeah, wow.
And I went to kindergarten over there, and then I grew up.
As that can happen. And then you moved to where when you were?
Ate my veggies and things, and So my parents got stable employment and apartment and everything in Kosovo and Pristina.
Yeah, wow.
So we all permanently moved there. But my sister is 5.5 years older than I am, so she would have started school already. She was going to school there in Albanian. And pretty much that's how it went. Mom was working at the before she worked at the gallery, she was working for the Ministry of Protection of Monuments and
Wow.
Places of Interest.
Yeah, right.
So there's like medieval church that she
Almost
would
like heritage type stuff.
Heritage,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
heritage-based things. I'm just trying to remember the name of the actual. It's not coming to me right
Like
now.
position, yeah.
But no, she was like a curator.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, she had tours and things like that she would run. And then her friend opened up a gallery, and then she would curate the exhibitions.
Wow.
So it was nice growing up.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Before all the mess started happening, and you know, Dad did his own thing, and yeah.
When did you know, like, how young do you think you were when you knew that you wanted to sort of be a performer or do performing in some shape or form? Because you do all sorts of like acting, burlesque, dancing, singing. But like when, like, because I imagine growing up in that kind of household with those kind of people, you kind of almost inevitably would have had an artistic, creative.
Right, without even realizing.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I never loved it or hated it or anything. You know, it was just like. Yeah, part of my life.
Your life, yeah.
But the thing is like I never thought of it being my passion. Like I thought I'll be more like my grandfather, my mom's dad, like my parents, because I always like, I'm not going to be anything like my parents. I'm going to be, you know, organized and have money all the time.
Like an accountant or something. Yeah. And, rebel.
I'm going to rebel.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's very boring.
Yeah.
But no, it was just actually very early on. I didn't have many friends.
Yeah, right, okay.
So I had to entertain myself. I don't know. I always was very good at attracting people, but also organizing and making things happen.
Yeah.
Like, let's put on a show. And so we would like be in my bedroom making a fake stage and performing something I came up with. And
that's so cute.
Yeah, it was.
So your parents were encouraging of this kind of thing in you as a child. Like they liked the idea of you being the sort of performer.
They were like, as long as she's, you know, happy playing, we're not gonna.
Yeah, right.
Like they just sort of like, yeah, sure, honey, yes. I was like, I'm gonna be a dinosaur. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Has it always been that way? Like, are they still really supportive and still really?
Yeah, they're a bit more supportive because back then they were like, yeah, honey, and now they're actually, oh, she's serious.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was like,
it's
for goodness sakes, I'm 30 years old. Of course I'm serious.
Yeah.
When are you gonna realize that?
Yeah.
But with my sister, like as a first child, she, you know, had her ballet lessons, piano lessons, everything, you know, like very kind of, you know, you're going to be cultured and everything.
Yeah.
And then I came along 5.5 years later and like, she'll be right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
They can't, you know, haven't bothered anyone. So it was just, you know, so it was fun, you know, I got to do different things like, did ballroom dancing, folk dancing, anything that came my way. I did martial arts.
Wow.
You know, I just
sort of really yourself into things. Yeah.
You know, do it for a while, and then I was like, okay, I had enough of that. What's next? You know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I never, you know, stuck with say like ballet or piano or anything like that. Which now I wish. Like I really wish I could play an instrument.
Never too late, as they say.
I know. So I'll look into it.
Yeah. But acting has almost always been like your main passion and drive and.
Definitely. Since I was, at elementary, my teacher actually loved to put on plays for end of term. Yeah. And asked my dad to write plays for us.
Wow. And
he did, and she would always cast me, not because of my dad or anything, but she's like, you know, you should do this. So I'm like, okay. And to me, I guess I should have realized back then, when I was 7 years old, that a lot of the parents would come to me and say, you know, you should be very proud that it's really well done and things like that. They were really impressed, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they not going to other kids? They're only coming to me.
Yeah.
And also, I noticed that I connect with people more when I was on stage than I was off stage.
Yeah, right.
It's a strange balance, I guess, because even I'm way more talkative now.
Yeah.
But I find it harder, like I'm quite introverted as well, so when I get on stage, you know, I can be and do whatever, I can play an extrovert, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
And be that sort of people's person.
Do you find it like therapeutic as well? Like, do you find it's a way of working through, I don't know, things that have happened to you in your life, or even the way you see the world, or emotionally? Like, do you find it just really cathartic? Right. A lot of factors.
Those things, the latter things, are for therapy.
Yeah. Okay.
Acting is something that it's about exploring.
Yeah. Okay.
So I find very curious. I'm very curious. Full stop.
Yeah.
And having to embody different types of people in different situations is something that drives me.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a big difference between an actor who can connect to that and one that can't? Like, can you tell personally when you see a film or a play or, you know, a TV series or something?
Right.
Do you like have actors that you buy it and actors that you sort of think, oh, they're not real, or they're not
in it?
Or, yeah.
I can't think of.
Oh, not you don't have to say names, but just
no.
Like,
but I'm just.
Are you conscious of that
think,
kind of thing? Like,
when I noticed it last, to be honest, I don't have TV.
Yeah.
I haven't had it for over 5 years.
Me neither.
And everything that I watch is what I select.
Yeah.
So I've been very happy with what
Yeah.
I've been getting.
Yeah, it's that high standards thing, of course. Like you can.
Yeah. So everything I pretty much have been viewing, I'm like, oh, this is great. You know, this is well done, and you know, I can only hope that one day I can, you know, be that person on screen, having someone like me say, oh yeah.
yeah, that's right.
I'm very happy and invested in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What sort of characters do you really like to play in terms of your acting? Like, do you find it easy to play characters that are really close to yourself, or do you find that difficult?
Of course. That's what I actually enjoy most, is a challenge, and a challenge is someone completely opposite to who I am and what I am, and because it is difficult to sort of let go and embody someone you either dislike.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I really dislike this character. How am I gonna do this? But then you learn about them, and you learn, you know, they're human, obviously, as well, and you know, their wants and needs and fears and passions, and that's what's so magical about acting, because it's not only about being different characters, it's also being that person's world.
Yeah.
Finding yourself in that person's shoes, and like right now, I'm playing an androgynous fairy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And it's Puck in that.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an adoption. It's called Puck with the Fairies.
Puck with the Fairies.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So I play Puck.
Yeah, that's cool. How are you finding that experience of playing an androgynous character? Do you think of yourself as androgynous?
No.
That's
the thing. That's what the challenge is. Working with costume and wig, obviously, and makeup and things like that. Is going to bring it out for me. Obviously, I do a lot of work at home for it. And another thing, you were helping me with the
accents. Accent stuff.
So I've been working on a Scottish accent.
Yeah, right.
For Puck, and because it lowers my register.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Very good. Yeah.
So I don't have to
like
worry about.
It's like deeper than your voice would normally be. You mean?
Yes. Yeah. Like when I speak French, I find French is like very up here.
Very light. Yeah.
And then
how many languages do you speak? Incidentally,
it's just five.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So what, like?
Croatian.
Which is your first language?
Mother tongue. Yeah. Albanian, my father's.
Yeah.
English, French, Spanish. Yes.
We'll
stop there.
French and Spanish. Do you speak Italian?
I understand.
Yeah.
Like
a lot of it.
I can reply here and there because, you know, it's right actually in the middle of French and Spanish.
Yeah, wow.
So when I was at uni, there were films that I really wanted to watch that were Italian, but no subtitles. I actually would sit through it and watch it and understand everything, because I was like, oh, that was a French word. Oh, that was this, you know, well, it's Romance language.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's actually in between, like, French and Spanish.
Yeah,
it's Italian.
That's interesting, yeah, because I have a lot of friends of mine who who speak Italian and can speak Spanish, and some of those who speak Spanish who can speak pretty much Italian, and French. Yeah, French often has crossovers as well.
It's kind of like having a different accent.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
It's like a dialect.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's really cool. And so have you ever wanted to, or have you even tried sort of acting and performing like overseas? Like, did you before you came to Australia?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I've been doing it since I was a toddler, really.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Because I would go with Dad.
Yeah.
And sit on set and do things, and he's like, "Go run around, do that thing." Okay.
That's really cool. And your dad lives in New Zealand now?
Yes, Mom and Dad are in Auckland.
Oh, they both live in New Zealand?
Yeah, and my cat.
So you and your cat is very much part of the family by the sounds of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So did you, before you came to Australia, you were in New Zealand, or?
That's correct.
Yeah,
so
right.
we all moved, my sister, myself, and my parents, after the Kosovo crisis in '99. Yeah. We ended up in New Zealand in November that year.
Oh wow! Because it would have all happened very suddenly.
It's just.
Was that scary? Do you remember being a bit like worried or scared for?
I remember. It was, Sean, it was so strange because, like you said, it was unexpected, and I felt everyone around me kind of knew except for me. Like, we're the ultimate optimists, my family, and we think that war should always be the last resort and almost non-existent.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was part of the plan or not, but there was no news about it happening that day. And I remember being at school on that day and having shakes and feeling very unwell and anxious. And suddenly, what I did, I took out a notebook out of my bag and asked all my friends in my class to write something, whatever it is that comes to their mind about me or them or whatever. And took it back and just said, I started crying. I couldn't stop crying. Like, what is up with this drama queen? It's like, yeah, I know. But no, it was just a strange feeling because I was upset and I didn't know why. Mm-hmm. And I guess that was my intuition saying something's coming and it's not good. And then principal decided to dismiss the class early. Mm-hmm. So I took my notebook, obviously, went home at about noon. I started packing, and Dad was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm going to see my grandparents. I'm going to Belgrade." And he goes, "Okay."
Yeah. And how old were you when this?
I was 14.
Wow. Yeah.
I was 14.
So quite perceptive, really. Quite insightful of you to be so.
I was just. I don't know.
Scared.
Look, I believe that a lot of people have had an idea. I could be wrong because it was a surprise attack as far as civilians were concerned.
Yeah.
However, I was just like, I need to get away. Like, I need to get out of this environment, and I'll go on Wednesday, come back for school Sunday, and I'll go to school on Monday. Yeah. That was the plan. Yeah. And I was upset and packing, and Dad just sort of called Mom at work and saying, "Look, I don't know what's up with Hana, but she's upset and she's packing and she's going to see her parents." Yeah. And she's like, "Okay, well, my boss said that I can come home early and accompany her, and we'll both come back on Sunday." And my sister came home early from school, and she decided to join us. And then that afternoon, we caught the bus to Belgrade. We were there 8:30, 9 p.m. Wow. The bombing began at 8 p.m. local time. We were still on the bus, watching movies, relaxing, whatever. And Dad was obviously in Pristina in Kosovo in the apartment. And I stepped out of the bus, and it was something. Imagine coming out of Flinders Street Station, there's not a soul there.
Yeah, like a deserted sort of town, like a ghost town. Sort of.
So you know how it's always busy.
Yeah.
It's 24/7. There's always someone there.
Yeah.
Suddenly we get to the main station over there.
Yeah.
There's like 1 or 2 people, and I had this really weird feeling. And then there's a taxi driver that pulled out next to us and was like, "Are you fucking crazy?" And I'm like,
so it had been like evacuated, or there'd just been people were just scared to go to them?
People remained at home,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
the news broadcast said, you know, stay at home, go to basement, whatever.
Yeah.
But because it was civilians, you know, there was not much risk, I guess, at the time, but there was a lot of deaths, and nonetheless, it's just, anyway, he pulled over and he's like, "Are you crazy?" And Mom said, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Because bombing began half an hour ago, and he just picked us up, took us to my cousin's place, and we stayed there, and we stayed at my grandparents for the next 3 months until it ceased. And then a week after we went home, reunited with my dad. It was definitely ghost town, Pristina, my hometown. It was really, I think...
Like overnight, really? Completely different?
It was just, I don't know. It was surreal thinking about it. Like, I can't believe that was me who was there once.
And have you, with your family, with your parents and sister and stuff, have you been back to Kosovo since they gained independence? Since it's sort of...
Yeah.
Because it's in a lot better condition now. Like a hugely better.
Look, if it was ever bad, it was bad during only that short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it shouldn't have happened anyway.
Yeah.
But I think all of Europe is struggling.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah. It was a desperate act, really, wasn't it? At that time, it was just like something that just tipped over the edge and turned into
I just
sort of civil war.
I can't explain because I don't understand it myself.
Yeah.
You know, I think people are people, and having to find a way to distinguish one from another, it just baffles me.
Yeah.
You either human or you.
Oh yeah.
You know, or you against me, I guess, and has nothing to do what your background, your ethnicity, or your culture, or religion even.
Yeah.
Because if anything, every religion says you should be kind to each other. So.
Yeah. A lot of those things are just like an excuse or like something to fall back on.
And you know, if anything, I felt let down by the European Union for allowing such thing to happen.
Yeah.
And
because historically they've been all about preventing those things, and
either way, like even if they didn't prevent or anything, at least something, you know, something that says we tried, or I just perhaps there was, but I don't remember right now. But I feel like it shouldn't have happened at all.
Was it like, it sort of seems like a bit of a loaded question, but was it like particularly traumatic, do you think, having that experience so young, or was it like, or if it was it, does it make you a much stronger person? Like,
I wish I was younger.
More worldly? Or?
I wish I was younger. If I had a choice, I would say I wish I was like younger, like my cousin's age, and so by the time I grew up, I would have, you know, forgotten about it completely.
Yeah, but because you were a bit older, it stayed
I was
with
right in the middle of it all.
Yeah,
I was 14. Just turned 15 before we moved to New Zealand, and fully aware of everything that is going on.
Yeah, which would have been a bit more like affecting.
Yeah, because a lot of all my friends, when that happened, how it happened suddenly, I had no idea where anyone was.
Yeah.
You know, whether they were still in Kosovo, whether they went off somewhere like we did, my mom, my sister, and I. Yeah. Or it was very, all of it really messy.
Yeah. And so when you moved to New Zealand, was it the sense of a fresh start for all of you? Like you were excited to kind of go to a new place and a new... Because it's a completely different life in every way, like a completely different lifestyle and climate and just everything. Like. Yeah.
I mean, like you learn about it at school and all that.
Yeah.
And so of course we had a good idea of where we were going. Yeah. But like I was mainly insisting on coming here because my dad's family again is also settled here in Australia.
Yeah, right.
So they sponsored us to come over.
Wow, that's cool.
And I said, look, if you guys don't want to go, I'm going because I don't want to go to school here anymore. Like, I want to go to school somewhere where no one's going to ask me where I'm from, and I want to be with people who care about where I'm going, where I'm from.
Yeah. Look to the future, not worrying about the past.
That's right. And unfortunately, a lot of people have brought stuff along with them.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the reason I'm not very much close to any community in particular.
Yeah.
I'm kind of everyone's
friend. Nomadic kind of. When you moved here to Australia, because how long have you been in Australia now?
It's going to be 5 years in December.
Yeah, wow. So when you moved here, did you feel like, I'm always interested to see, I mean, I know New Zealand's almost like our brother, in a way, like our brother country or whatever, or sister country. Like a lot of people think of it almost in the same category, but when you moved from New Zealand to Australia, did you find Australia was really accepting of you? Like, what was your experience in terms of?
It's funny. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Because New Zealand is like a small town.
Yeah. The whole country is like a small town.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't think they're conscious of it. I'm not being judgmental or like negative. I'm as objectively looking at it, being in different parts of the world and seeing how it all, works.
Yeah.
So, being in New Zealand was like, they're finally, so the English came and the Maori had to accept the English.
Yeah.
And so there was kind of like this Pākehā Maori kind of finally found their swing and, rhythm.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's other immigrants coming in.
Yeah.
So they're like overwhelmed. We just got used to each other. Like,
yeah, right.
What do you want now?
Yeah.
So, there's not racism as much per se, like it is here. Like it's more covert over there than here.
Yeah, it's more obvious in Australia.
Definitely.
Yeah.
In New Zealand is like, they're very accepting, but there's a limit. Like if you're a newcomer, as in if you're not brought up there, if you're not a Kiwi, if you're like a European Kiwi like myself, you kind of like, they're very we're kind of suspicious of you.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah.
Just like, walking into a small town and you being new. It's the same sort of feeling. That's just the general feeling I get. But everyone's lovely. Like, I have never had a problem. Like, I always, wherever I go, I make friends.
Yeah, cool.
But just, like I said, generally speaking, that's for New Zealand. In Australia, I was just, wow. It's so different. I didn't realize they could be that different from each other. Like, climate,
Yeah.
People, like, I expected to see more Pacific Islander or Maori and Aboriginal as well, but it's like in Australia, there's just barely any Aboriginal people.
Yeah, right. That's true. But particularly in the cities, there's a lot less in the cities, and particularly on the east side of Australia, there's a lot more in Central Australia and Western Australia and Southern Australia. Yeah.
So it was.
So a lot more kind of Caucasian than you were expecting.
Yeah. We're all the, exotic people.
Yeah. But you'd say Melbourne is probably a lot more, like, you've been to other places, of course.
Oh yeah, so when I got to Melbourne, I was very much in demand.
Yeah.
Like, I was so surprised because in New Zealand,
in demand in what sense?
Like, let's work, let's do this, like, can you do this, can you do that? And I'm like, of course I can do all those things, and I was working and more and more, to the point where I was just like, actually I may as well give up on giving up on acting.
So
I'll just
nice.
embrace it.
Yeah.
Because it was like I was saying, it was funny, in New Zealand I kept being told, you're not Kiwi enough. You're not Kiwi enough. And I was like, what does that mean?
To do acting?
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's so weird.
it's just you look different, you sound too different, you're too different. I don't know.
That's really, like, unaccepting, isn't it? That's quite, I don't know, xenophobic.
It's honest.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I guess, like I said, they're not conscious because, imagine being so far away from the rest of the world and having so many cultures to work with.
Yeah, exactly. You're such a mixture of different things.
You're like, okay, I think I got this down now. This is how this works. I was like, who are you? What are you doing here? Why did you have to come and mess it up? You know? No, not like that. But yeah, it was kind of like, you know, I was like, so should I start wearing jandals and shorts and what? What do I do?
Is that the culture? Yeah.
Do I drop my vowels? And
Yeah.
What do I do? And so I came to Melbourne, and I was very surprised that I was so widely accepted.
Yeah, because Melbourne's a lot more European, you would say. Like for Australia, it's a lot more. Or for even for New Zealand, it's a lot more.
But, well, as far as work is concerned, I definitely find that people go out of their way to make contact with me, to ask me to work. Whereas in New Zealand, I had to sort of convince people that I can do this and don't be afraid. I'm just like you. It's not a little different. So it was a bit, it was a nice change. But I still go to New Zealand. I still work, and it's nice. But I noticed that it's mainly caters to like Kiwi, Caucasians, and Maori or Pacific Islander, and any other European. You sort of like go home.
At the bottom of the food,
It's like no, go home. we have enough for our own. Like No, I mean I do feel like a Kiwi, but it's it is hard. It's a small country, so the tastes are also limited. So you can't really push a French actor, in a New Zealand market. It's kind of like, what are you doing? So it makes sense, but I love being here in Melbourne. I wish my parents and my family was here, but all in good time. Like you said, builds character.
Do you think they will move here eventually, or do they want to come to Australia? Or?
No, if anything, my parents are now retired, and my mom's parents are still alive. They're back in over there in Europe. They're on the other side of the planet. And so she's thinking about when she fully retires to go and look after them. And my dad joining her. So because we have 2 apartments over there, I don't know. So we got properties, so I don't know why.
That's cool. Would you ever
Even
think
though
about
we
moving?
love it here.
Yeah, would you ever think about moving back to Europe, or do you want to be here for the foreseeable future? Like for
It's the latter.
Cool. I know you don't necessarily want to talk about this, but I'm just really intrigued. How's your experience been with, in terms of, say, dating or relationships with Australian people? Not necessarily specific. Don't give me names or anyone.
You know that.
Because we were discussing earlier, because you said that there's a very specific Australian culture, you think, when it comes to dating and women, and how Australian men view women.
Right.
I'm intrigued to see what you and you said it's very different to Europe and different to New Zealand.
Yeah, because when I go and visit in Europe, and I look at the relationships, and men are very much men, but they're like that because they're women.
When you say that, do you mean masculine? Like do they?
Yeah.
Like in that kind of cliche, typical sort of specific.
Like not macho or anything.
No,
because that's not what I'm trying to do at all. Everyone I know is not attracted to that. I'm sure they're like that everywhere.
Yeah.
When you have macho, but like the men are quite manly. But because women take such care of appearing feminine and being women, but then they work and talk like men do. Like I don't know how to explain this. Like they say all about equality here. And over there, it's not so much about equality. It's equality, but it's fairness as well. Whereas here, there's not enough fairness going on.
You think it's still very much in the male park, like ballpark.
Like men using here in Australia, my impression is that men use feminism as an excuse to be rude to women.
Really?
Like, for example, like a European guy takes you out. I actually even have an impression that Americans do that. They take you out on a date, take care of it.
Very like chivalrous, kind of old-fashioned.
Chivalrous, yes. That's the word. Chivalrous, old-fashioned. Well, not necessarily old-fashioned. It's just like if you're the instigator, then you follow it through. You see it through.
But do you think there's a bad side to that, where like they're doing that because it's the power, because it's the authority?
No, because the woman is the one that says, no, I'm not going there, I'm doing this and not doing that. Whereas
so
here, she's so opinionated. She's like, no, I just know what I want.
Yeah, right. You've actually been told that by like Australian guys that you're opinionated.
Yes.
Yeah, right. See, I would never think of that as a bad thing. If anything, I'm attracted to women who, are headstrong and confident and.
But I'm friends with people who are like that, like you, obviously.
Yeah.
But when you go on dates that you don't really know these guys really well, obviously.
Yeah.
It takes you by surprise, and I'm sure they were surprised. But then I wonder, like, why ask me a political question or any question that requires an opinion and then say, you're really opinionated. Yeah. So what did you expect?
Yeah, exactly. Don't ask me questions you don't want answers to, sort of.
Or whatever, like, I was like, maybe next time I'll just say, I don't have an opinion on that.
Yeah. What I was going to say as well, that links into my next question really well. What do you have to say? I reckon you'd be very passionate about this, about women who, and I don't want to get into trouble for saying this, but about women who in society, that there's still a culture of like pretending to be less intelligent than you are, or being quiet, or being, kind of almost like taking shit from men, or going along with it.
I think everyone has a choice and freedom to.
Yeah.
If they're happy like that, I'm happy for them.
Yeah, right. Oh, really? That's interesting. I thought you'd be like, they should stand up for themselves and say what they think and say what they believe. And
no, everyone should do what
they want.
Feels right for them.
Yeah.
Or as long as they're not harming anyone.
Yeah.
Like, don't expect me to keep my head down. And,
yeah.
And I have no interest in telling anyone how to be this or that or the other. Just be a normal human being as much as you can. None of us are really.
Yeah.
At least they try.
Yeah.
But
what's your thoughts, for instance, on a lot of women are coming out and being quite against feminism?
Against feminism?
There's a huge culture of women coming out now and saying that feminism is bad and it's only because they presume that feminism is just women hating men.
Oh.
And like saying that they should have more rights than men and all that sort of stuff.
They should watch Tootsie. That's a great movie.
They should watch Tootsie. That's the most succinct, obscurely beautiful answer to that question I've ever heard. They should watch Tootsie.
I don't have an answer to that because I just, feminism is something that, again, being European, that took place like medieval ages. That was settled then when a man said to a woman, I eat first, then you, and she just like smacked him over the head.
Yeah.
And that was settled then.
And it's been a development process ever since.
And the fact that I remember being at university in New Zealand and someone saying, I'm doing feminism studies. Or something. I was like, what? They're feminists today?
Yeah. Like we haven't got over this yet? Like we haven't,
yes.
Yeah.
Because there was this Russian girl and myself. She was so much more surprised because, like, communism is very much like that, sort of. Yeah. Everyone.
Like equality.
Equality, but like working to your strengths, whatever. There's no man, woman, you do the job and whatever. So she was like, "Oh, that's funny," and I was like, "I think she's serious." And so her and I remember this Russian girl and I was sitting in disbelief, thinking that there's still feminism alive. There's nothing good or bad about it, but it was a surprise to us because I don't know in Europe if there's still feminism, like the Pussy Riot.
Perfect example. Yeah.
But again, that's a different. I guess there are different nuances of feminism everywhere.
Definitely, yeah.
So
which is where the confusion comes from. Isn't it?
Wherever it's necessary, sure. But for this girl and I, we were just like, why do we need feminism today? We can vote, we can work, we can do whatever we like. We can either go to work or stay at home. We're not forced to do anything we don't want to. And then I found out that here in New Zealand, women get paid less than men for the same job.
Exactly,
And I was like, you're kidding.
Yeah, that's why we still need it. Yeah.
So it was a culture shock.
Yeah. And do you think that in terms of like linking that into how experiences you've had with Australian men, do you think a lot of that informs the kind of divide? Like, do you think a lot of, like, we talk, you and I often, whenever we hang out, we always talk about like chauvinism, or misogyny, because we're both quite, or we seem to end up talking about it a lot because we're both quite passionate against it. You know, we think it's awful and backward and not progressive. Like, do you think the sort of thing where in this country, Australia and New Zealand, where women get paid less, do you think that is kind of almost perpetuates?
That's even more reason for a guy to take you out.
But you have to be careful, don't you? Because, like, do you mean that's a good thing?
No, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I think, if anything, I mean, I'm not saying women have it easy, men have it harder, or vice versa. I think that as a woman, you're expected to have higher standards.
Yeah.
And intrinsically, we do. Simple as like keeping the house clean. Yeah. So there's so much more pressure on women to maintain, you know,
especially in terms of roles
and family and work.
Yeah.
You know, men have it hard because they, you know, have to supply and be the man, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you have women who just sort of having to do all these different jobs.
Yeah.
And then just like I feel they should be a bit more appreciated.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
agree.
saying depreciate men at all.
No,
I'm
of
not
course
saying
not.
that at all.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that if you expect so much, you should kind of give a little as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know. As far as, you know, pay less or not, I'm just, you know, I don't get it.
It should just be equal.
Should be. I think if anything, women should get paid more because you work at home.
I agree.
You get, especially when you get married, you end up like carrying this thing for 9 months and then squeezing it out and then worrying about the whole thing and
Well,
and then going to work.
Yeah. Well, on that topic, do you want to be a mother? Like, do you have plans to be a mother or have children, or would you like to have children? Or, I mean, I know it's about finding the right person.
Ask me when I get married and get pregnant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ask you when you get married and get pregnant. I like that.
Don't ask me now because I have no idea.
Okay. But you don't have any sort of predisposition to want that sort of thing?
For all I know, I could be abducted by aliens tomorrow.
Yeah, right. That's such a wonderfully, like, actory way of, that's good, yeah. Just changing all the time.
I'm not changing. I think I've always known, like, I always took life one step at a time.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
So
live for the moment, kind of.
When it happens, it happens. Like, every time a crucial change or something happened in my life and I had to make a decision, I did with no problems.
Yeah.
So if I end up getting married, that'll be it. If I end up pregnant, that'll be it.
Yeah.
Like, that's, you know, how it goes. But yeah, people say I would be a really good mother. And so I'm not objecting.
You do seem like you would be. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Why, you want to have a baby with me?
No, that's right.
You want to be my baby daddy? I'm looking for a baby daddy.
Looking for a donor. A donor? I don't know what I mean. So in summary, it's so good. I can't believe we've covered so much in such a short amount of time. Let's talk about your show that's coming up. Like, give me the details and
yes.
Things like
Fuck with the Fairies is going to be shown at Revolt Theatre Space.
Oh, that's an amazing
in
space.
Kensington.
I've done shows there. It's good fun.
They won awards for like being best venue.
Yeah, they're wicked. They're really
and
cool.
so 29th and 30th of August, and 8 p.m. and tickets are online as well. So I have to link below.
Cool. Yeah. You send me the links, and I usually just put it in the description, and then.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's much easier that way.
I need a reminder.
Yeah.
I'm running around like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the latest live show I'm doing.
That's awesome. And I just want to finish with what's next? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do more film work? Do you want to do more theatre?
Next, actually, I've already been cast in the next theatre piece.
Wicked.
I think it's by Ibsen.
Oh, I love Ibsen.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna actually. It's not that I don't want to disclose. I just don't know much.
No, of
but
course,
I know that the rehearsals will start in September. So second September and 4th September are the main meetings. That's my last show is on the 30th, and so I have a day or two in the next project.
Oh, that's really exciting.
When it comes to theatre, but with film and commercials and things, all.
You never know what's coming.
Day to day.
Yeah.
I found out I have a photo shoot on the 12th.
Yeah, right.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
So yeah, cool. Just take it as it comes. Whereas with theater, you know, you have to plan.
Yeah, you do.
Because you rehearse, you do things like that, and it's easier with films and commercials because, you know, you can just show up a day before.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Hana, and I think you're incredible. Like, I think firstly you have a much more interesting background and life story than I think a lot of people, would think. So I think this is going to be really interesting for people to watch who maybe don't know, that much about you and sort of where you've come from, and I think things like that. I would imagine things like that really inform you as a performer and as an actor, because I feel like all of our experiences in our life makes you a richer and more, multifaceted.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, that was Hana. Obviously, I will link all the things that she's mentioned in the description, and maybe some other things that can relate to things that she's talked about. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the interview, and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Yay!
That was cool.